All right, we've come to part 3 of our gas tank build. I'm trying to make a simple retro style gas tank for my motorcycle. So far, we've got these sort of baffle type things on the inside of the tank, which are actually for reinforcement to make the top of it stronger so that we hang the tank from the top of the tank. And then we've got a little bung in here, the little threaded bung for the gas filler cap. Those are all set on this guy. We've got some tacks along here to hold everything together. Everything's just tacked in so far on that. We still need to do the back side and the bottom. And speaking of the bottom, that's this guy right here. We are retaining the fuel pump and all the little sender stuff from the original gas tank that we sort of swiped this one piece out of it. You can see I've welded in on the bottom. We had a whole thing about welding that in, and we had some warping we had to fix and all that sort of stuff. And we did it with a flux core welder, and now I have moved on to brazing instead. I think that's better. I'm learning as I go along here, but this is where we're at. And so I've got this traced out. You can see where I need to cut it out still so it will fit onto this guy. But what I'm thinking about doing right now, since I'm not entirely confident in these welds on the bottom here, in terms of being gas tight, air tight and all that stuff, I'm gonna take this guy out, the little meltable plastic stuff, take that out, and I'm gonna go through here on the inside, because I've welded it on the outside. I'm gonna go through on the inside and I'm gonna braze that joint again. All right, so change of plans. After some further consideration, I'm going to just cut this guy out and weld this all together on the tank, tack everything onto the tank so all the pieces are on this guy here, because I did some test welding and stuff on some scrap material here, and I think I'm just gonna end up warping this guy some more, and I don't wanna do that. I've already spent a lot of time straightening this back out from the previous warping, so I think my theory is that I can, if I have leaks, if I have them on this thing, I can go ahead and go back in and braze stuff at that point, and it's much less likely to warp once it's together on this piece like this. The warping happens a lot on the edges and stuff where it has the ability to just move freely, but if things are tacked together in another plane, that will add strength and whatnot to it and help to prevent that warping from happening. I still have to try and keep it temperatures cool and all that stuff, but I think I'm less likely to have to deal with warping again if I just go this route. So I'm going to go ahead, cut out my little pattern here, and then fit it up to this guy and tack it in. All right, so we are cut to size now. Everything should fit on the bottom of the tank pretty nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and tack this in now. Alright, so I've got things tacked up at this point to my liking. This is still pretty hot here. And so you can see I've got things tacked every inch or so along here. Some of them might be a little bit longer, some of them a little bit shorter, but we've got it all tacked up pretty well. Some of them, I've got the corners here as best I can to get those things. Those are the hard parts, you know, so try and get the hard parts done first. And that provides me a little bit of a safety net when I'm actually going full weld on this thing, that those corners aren't just gonna blow out when I get to them. I've already got extra material there which absorbs more heat, which will allow that not to blow out so fast. But I do have a couple little spots here and there, like there's one right there, you know, where the corner started to blow out a little bit, and just stuff like that. But overall, pretty happy with this setup. It's pretty cool to have the tank in my hand in its sort of almost final form. Now the plan is just to go ahead and start fully welding these things up and All right, so at the moment I'm just going around making circles of the tank. You can see there's a longer bead there. There's a longer one over there. This corner over here. And I'm just rotating around, distributing the heat as I weld. And so far, so good. Oh my God, look at this thing. We actually did it. It's all brazed up. And like, look at the heat lines around here even, because this is about as professional as I've gotten. Look at the heat lines around the edges and stuff. Look at how uniform that is. That's really great for me, dude. That looks almost professional. Like if you look up close though, it starts to not be as professional. Not quite as professional, but I think functional, I think effective. It wasn't until like later on, like you can see down here, I got a decent flow going. These are little teeny tiny welds down through here too. I am very tempted at this point to go ahead and like grind some of this weld down here, the stuff that's really rough at least, and then go through and braze all of this around again, just to prevent any frustrations later on. I would love to be able to pressure test this thing and have it pass the first time. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and wire brush this thing, clean it up a bit. All right, we've cleaned up the edges with the wire brush, and I just love the way that bronzing looks. I love the contrast between the silver steel and that golden bronze. Super cool effect, man. I just love that look. And you know where I'm going with this. I'm tempted to just clear coat this thing and call it a day. Maybe do some lettering and whatnot, pinstriping, whatever on this thing, and be like, bam! I just love the honesty of materials. You know, you can see what the thing is made of, how it's constructed, and I really love that. So we'll see. Comments below, let me know. What do you think?